As business owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us to find the time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really want to do, unfortunately, taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries. When you hear the DJ scratch, you know what that means. That means it's time for another episode of Burn and Return. My name is Matt. Sometimes I go by the Grass Factor Martin. Alongside me, we have Mr. Ryan DeMay, Mr. Ray Ito. We are three turfgrass guys from kind of different facets of the industry. Ray is a lawn care guy. Ryan is Ray is a very, very high-end residential lawn care guy. Ryan is a sports turf and lawn care consultant, and I am in the manufacturing space. And we come together on Sundays and Thursdays to talk to the world. Well, we record this on a Sunday, but it doesn't go live until Wednesday. But we come together to talk to the world about the various pieces of news we find out there in the ethos that have a direct impact or could potentially have a direct impact on the turfgrass industry, or at least the green industry as a whole here at home. And so a lot of times you'll find us talking about things that occur overseas. A lot of times you'll find us talking about things that are happening here in the States. And a lot of times, you know, we have a good time. How about that? We are known as, and I'm gonna put this out there, that we are assholes, but we are not scumbags. And so you know, we're not afraid to step into a big giant pile of doo-doo and kick it quite like a dog would, because why not? Gentlemen, Ray, Ryan, go ahead, Brian. What did we say?
Well, I was how are me? You were asking how I was. I'm going to take umbrage with that statement. I don't think we're assholes. I think there's an old saying that goes, you know, an asshole doesn't know any better, but a prick knows exactly what he is doing at all times. And we are pricks. I think we're very...
they're with the smile. No. Wait. Let me put a smile on my face. I'm smiling. For those of you that are listening to this and not watching, I'm smiling.
Matt, I'd like to take it a step further, though, and I would like to say that we are very palatable pricks.
If there's anything that we are talking about on air that you find unpalatable, I promise, the last thing I am concerned about is whether or not you hit the pause button, or if you have an Android, you hit the button on the left that brings up various windows and you swipe up on your podcast app and turn it off. I promise it's not going to hurt my feelings. But if you are enjoying it and you crank the volume up to max and really bury your ears in your headphones to make sure you capture every word, I'm very appreciative of that as well too. I don't want to pretend like I hate everyone. I just hate everyone. Wait, did I think I said that wrong. That's my fault.
Oh my goodness. Ray, what's going on tonight?
What's going on tonight? Let's see. It is Sunday. So this is a good question. I'm at a toss-up or crossroads, okay? Meatloaf?
What?
Oh. Let's see. Beef and cheese burritos, or a pizza. A gigantic
I'm gonna
pizza.
vote for burritos.
Okay.
I'll vote for burritos too. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, because usually how I do them is a home rolled tortilla,
Jeez.
plenty of ground beef, and lots of pepper jack cheese. With
Ray's got it figured out.
with a thick smear of Salsa right down the middle.
Damn right.
Ladies, he's single, and you can be assured he has no fungus on his fingers at any time. Trust me.
No, there is no fungus on the fingers.
Speaking of fungus on the fingers, we definitely have fungus out in the news that needs to be fungicided away. And so let's talk about this week's headlines.
Nothing to fear here. This is just the...
Now, Matt, I just want to say and interject real quick. I'm glad that you said that we're going to use fungicide on the news headlines, and we're not going to use MSMA because that's actually only legal for golf courses and spot treatment there and over the top on sod farms. So just let you know.
I appreciate that, because if you didn't clear that up for me, I may have to throw a chest elbow, if you know what I mean. By the way, I have a link to my new parenting guide in the link in the description below if you would like to learn more about that. So we have been talking about Sri Lanka for quite a while, and we're not quite done with it yet, because now we're going to watch how the fallout occurs. But before we get into Sri Lanka, I want to talk about something specific that's happening in a somewhat quasi neighboring country. And this whole thing kind of popped into my headspace because in lieu of arguing in the comments on Facebook videos, I went to where the rest of the world argues, and that is Twitter. And I like to type in, things like words like pesticides or fertilizer into the search bar on Twitter and just take a look at what pops up. And what popped up specifically is there is a second new nano urea plant that has been built in India. And what they are planning is by 2025 to have 8 nano urea plants and stop importing urea completely. Now, I don't know if this is coming purely from the government, but what is fascinating is we'll take a look at this article here from the Tribune. It says, scientists advise use of liquid nano urea to increase yield and reduce pollution. Farmers skeptical. And we don't have to go through it, because I think that headline perfectly summarizes there is that, in the midst of everything that's kind of going on in Sri Lanka right now, I would say, stepping too far outside of the line, like completely eliminating all urea availability for nano urea, because it's more effective, it's eco-friendly, it's cheaper, all that fun stuff. But what's fascinating here is that the IFFCO, and I'm sure nobody listening to this knows what the hell that is, but that is the Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative, owns the majority of the patents related to nano urea in India. And so I made the comment that a lot of the nano fertilizer research that I have personally done is coming out of India. That is for sure. In fact, even nano fertilizer research taking place in the United States, it seems to be predominantly Indian PhDs that are undergoing this. So I think a lot of that is just the overwhelming amount of focus that's being placed on this in India right now. And I mean, let me tell you, I'm not saying this to slight at all. Fascinating research, and that's why I've been reading about it. And Ryan, you and I obviously have had conversations off air about it, and it's something that's interesting nonetheless. And for those of you that are wondering what nano fertilizer is effectively what you're doing is stabilizing a suspension versus a solution of nanoparticles. So we'll say like less than 100 nanometers, and the idea is that if they're that small, pretty much without restriction, they can pass into the foliage of the plant, right? Now, because it's so small that some of the things that may make foliar uptake a bit more difficult, less difficult, right? It's just tiny small. So I made the comment that I said, it's a hot take to say that that nano urea will absolve all urea dependence, and I'm here to watch, learn, and armchair quarterback the shit out of this. So I bring that up to say, and I want to ask you gentlemen, this is given the there's kind of a couple pieces here that I want to put together. We understand nitrogen use efficiency. We also understand nitrogen demand. And the idea here that because we can reduce particle size, that all of a sudden we are circumventing what we understand as far as nitrogen use and nitrogen demand from the plant, right? We know the plant per amount of harvest that's going to take place is going to require a certain amount of nitrogen to hit that that yield level, right? And we also understand the efficiency of urea pretty well. I mean, it's something that has been demonstrated over and over and over and over. But now, apparently, because we're using nano urea, we're able to circumvent everything we've learned about nutrient demand from the crop and nitrogen efficiency. Okay, now I'm going to parlay that. We've got brand new technology that's rewriting what we understand. We have a country that has a farmers cooperative that has completely taken over from a patent, so ownership perspective of this particular technology. The idea is that they're going to force urea out of availability in favor of their in-country developed, so that they're less reliant upon foreign imports of urea, which is predominantly how they bring in urea. So 13.7 million tons of urea is what they're forecasted to use by 2023. And taking into account what happened in Sri Lanka, boys, I saw this, started putting this together, and I was like, oh my God, we may have a potential Sri Lanka part 2.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to get your take on it, because to me, this is holy shit frightening to have the kind of aggression here to say that by 2025, we will absolve all urea use in favor of nano urea. Am I being a little conspiratorial here, or is this what's going on? I want to know what y'all's take is.
Okay, no, Matt, you are not out of your mind, because other thing about India that I'm very aware of is the massive amount of bullshit, bad science that comes out of India. I'm aware of that. And
that's why I'm asking your opinion.
No, and so nano urea in and of itself, now urea is already a small, low molecular weight molecule that is highly soluble in water. I'm not understanding how that can be made smaller and more available via foliar uptake, for example, versus pure urea applied foliarly in water. I'm not understanding that.
A nano urea particle is 30 nanometers, Ray. 30 nanometers.
Okay. And there's no need for a particle of urea to be broken down to that, because urea diffuses or dissolves in water completely. There's no need for it. Conversely, though, if you tell me you are going to atomize urea and then suspend those particles in an oil base, then we have something, but then that then defeats the purpose of having urea, because the key feature of urea is that it readily diffuses into water and it goes wherever water goes, right? So I think India is engaging in reinventing the wheel, and that reinvention of the wheel is something that's going to come to bite them. And by the way, ever since, number one, they couldn't keep their carbaryl plant from releasing MIC, and since they seem to be unable to keep their oryzolin plant from detonating, I don't trust them, okay? Because did you know that there's like an ongoing problem with the availability of surfland?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, surfland is another dinitroaniline herbicide, and previously it was a product that was manufactured and marketed by Dow AgroSciences. Mm-hmm. And then in the 2000s, the rights of that got sold to United Phosphorus of India. And ever since then, Horizon or Surfland has been an extremely erratic supply, and problem cited was the fact that they can't seem to keep their plant from detonating because, you see, in order to make a dinitroaniline herbicide, you need to nitrate organic molecules, and nitration of organic molecules, that's a very risky process.
So I get it, and that's from a manufacturing perspective, and that sounds like and all of those, you're talking about a lot of intermediate chemicals that are used to synthesize all this. But Ryan, I want to ask you, like some of the things I've read specifically would be like nano zinc on seed coatings, and seeing actually a lot of positive data on that conducted here in the United States. But I'm curious, your take on this, the totality of the situation. Is this for the good or the bad? Because I can kind of see both sides of the aisle here pretty easily on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe an idea ahead of its time, right? In terms of, as we saw with Sri Lanka, I don't know that it's the same thing there. It seems maybe a little less confrontational than it was there. But the idea that we can deploy this at scale, right, and especially in a country like India that has, I don't know, it's in what, probably the top 5 or 6 agricultural production nations, I'm going to say, something like that. So that's a little bit of a stretch, it seems like. The nano fertilizer technology stuff, there's a lot of good research out there that's done on extremely small scales, extremely short time horizons, and when it comes to crop production, there's some very limited data on corn and some other crops. There's one a while back about pomegranates and stuff like that. Like, it's just been sort of all over the place, right? And I think it's almost like, any type of R&D into a product, especially in the ag space, right, is you hunt and peck until you find something that works, and then you exploit the shit out of it, right? And this seems like we're skipping the step of find out exactly what works and how it works. I mean, a lot of these papers will tell you that we don't yet understand, right, the mode of action within the plant. Like, how does this actually changing nutrient uptake and nutrient use efficiency within the plant. We've seen some really good results, like you were saying, Matt, with the zinc. Nickel, nano nickel is another one. And please, for the love of God, I'm not endorsing that you go out and buy nickel fertilizers to help your plants, but nickel is a key component in several key enzymes that convert urea over to an ammonium ion. And without it, you don't have that conversion, and simply your plants are going to die. So we have seldom seen a nickel deficiency in turfgrass, right? I think what this is saying is that, hey, rather than taking it up from the soil and the plant using it in its, let's just say, natural physiological processes, we're kind of short-circuiting that a little bit and hot wiring it to a degree inside the plant, right? So that we can maximize the uptake and the use efficiency on, something like a urea application, a nano fertilized urea. To do that at scale across a country the size of India, well, good fucking luck.
No, that's going to take a lot.
For now.
Yep. For now. And then the other, now I can see, and I'm going to be a very reasonable person in that I'm also seeing the benefits of efficient application technology as well. Because the old standard for application, especially in low technology countries, has been to soil load at very high rates. I get that. And I'm not in favor of that practice. However, I'm also realistic in thinking that maybe, just maybe, some of those applications could be replaced by higher efficiency liquid and foliar applications, because that's what I advocate for in turfgrass. Rather than throwing it down and hoping for the best, I'm always in favor of extremely targeted, predictable, and scalable applications where I apply X amount of nitrogen. I know what that amount of nitrogen is going to do regarding the plant's growth. And I also have an idea as to how long that response is going to take place. And so I have nothing against a liquid type application. It's just that when somebody tells me nano urea, my scam alert, alarms go off, because urea.
There are certain nutrients that are difficult to get into the plant, and and that could be due to soil pH, whatever the case may be. Nitrogen is never really one of the ones that we struggle to get.
It's not.
It's everything downstream of urea, right?
Yeah, because you see, urea with a non-ionic surfactant is normally one of the most foliarly available nitrogen sources, and that is next to, for example, you want to know what else is very plant available as a foliar? Either calcium nitrate, ammonium nitrate, or potassium nitrate. Those are also very foliarly available. So in actual practice, if you want high nitrogen efficiency, are you familiar with UAN?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that is a very effective liquid foliar nitrogen source. And there is no trickery or proprietary technology associated with that, and it's easily produced, and it's a recognized commodity, right, Nat? That's traded internationally on the fertilizer market, and growers know what it is, agronomists know what it is, and it is just a proven product. You see, my concern is, here we go with India trying to reinvent the wheel, and I hope this doesn't come back to burn them.
Exactly. And I think that's my main concern here, is that I don't want to see another Sri Lanka situation take place, especially in a country the size of India. And like DeMay says, the velocity of adapting adopting these types of practices is oftentimes what ends up causing problems, right? And setting a kind of milestone like 2025 to completely absolve all urea. And again, I'm sure it's out there, and I just haven't found it yet, how they are able to quantify exactly the nitrogen use efficiency of a nano urea versus a traditional urea may look. And in a lot of the literature I've read, it's a stretch, right? Like, for instance, one of the things, and I'll tell you, I got sucked into this too, was the efficiency of urea could be as low as 20%. Well, the key word there is that could be. Could be is the key word there. And so while there is great potential for urea loss, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's always going to be that bad. So do the economics make sense only when you're at 20% efficiency of urea you apply? Or do the same economics come into play with if urea is at 80% efficiency? Or say through the adaptation of a urease inhibitor, you're at 85% efficiency. Now, does the efficiency of nano urea make up that economic difference? I don't know. And I think a lot of these questions have not been answered yet, but it's something now that it's on my radar. I think we'll all stay in tune with. The next one here that we're going to jump into is a little write-up about the Dutch farmer revolt. We talked about this last week as well. And they're saying, there will be unrest all over. And, DeMay kind of gave us the background of this, that, they were basically given the opportunity to figure out how they're going to make cuts to atmospheric nitrogen loss. And effectively, no one really did anything about it. And so now the government has decided that they're going to come in and set the expectations on what nitrogen emissions are going to look like. And as part of that, unfortunately, it means some of these people who have leveraged their farms to scale livestock production are now going to be put out of business because their nitrogen emissions are going to be slashed by as much as 70%. So kind of a bad deal. We'll kind of just summarize this here. A series of farmer-led demonstrations against the government climate rule in the Netherlands could be beginning of a global movement, according to experts interviewed by Fox News Digital. The Dutch government issued a plan in June laying out nitrogen emission reductions, largely targeting the nation's agricultural industry, which produces an outsized share of such emissions, according to a report from U.S. Department of Agriculture's Foreign Agricultural Service, the FSA. The government, though, directly acknowledged that there is not a future for all farmers to continue their business under the proposal. And that part right there has everybody kind of wigged out, right? The proposal to sharply cut nitrogen emissions is tied to a 2019 Dutch court decision forcing the nation's government to take a more aggressive measure to curb nitrogen emissions. The Netherlands, though, has heavily regulated agricultural emissions since the 90s, and farmers have largely complied with such rules. The Netherlands emits a large quantity of nitrogen because of its massive agricultural industry, which accounts for 87% of the country's 124 million kilograms of annual ammonia emissions. The nation exported a whopping $26.8 billion worth of food products, despite having relatively tiny population compared to other major producers. It is not very rational to curb Dutch agriculture if you realize that they have the highest production per acre in the world, and therefore the environmental load per kilogram of food is lower than elsewhere. So in a sense, Dutch agriculture is a benefit for climate as well as for biodiversity. Of course, that's going to be the opposing, the in support of view, and then the opposing view is that, well, you're still releasing a shit ton of ammonia into the atmosphere. And here's the thing is that, now, and again, I'm going to tie this back in. You've got Sri Lanka going through this. I'm hearing in Ireland, this is beginning to bubble. Of course, we had... I would say Canada is ripe for some weirdness to continue to take place there in response to everything that went on there earlier in the year. And people in other nations that are going to begin to adopt this as part of the protocol that, well, if they're doing it, I'm doing it kind of thing. And again, I want to clarify here that I do think it's important that everyone in every industry do their absolute best that they possibly can with the data they have in front of them to be as environmentally friendly as possible. I think that's an extremely important thing. However, and again, I'm repeating myself, what a DeMay says, it's the velocity of implementation that oftentimes causes panic, and especially given the state of the global union right now, it freaks people out. If you haven't seen, like for instance in Africa, the riots taking place right now because of inflation. People not being able to afford things. I would say globally right now, there is a lot of unrest that's kind of simmering. And all it takes is a little nudge or a little push to knock all the upright matchsticks over before a major fire begins to unfold. And, we saw it with the Arab Spring and what resulted of that. And I kind of feel like this is has the underlying workings of being maybe not as aggressive because there was a lot of other crazy shit going on at the time, but there's going to be a lot of pissed off people, and as we see with Dutch farmers driving through cities spraying shit water all over everyone, and then the police shooting at them, it's not a good look. I don't know. So I wanted to pipe in here with you guys. Given what's going on, given the fact that come harvest time this year is when we're really going to begin to feel the effects of inflation, when we begin to feel the effects of crop production costs earlier this year, and what we see with grain prices right now. Grain prices were real strong, and that's what justified all the high input costs. Now, the grain markets are not looking anywhere near as strong as they were. And as a result of that, now do the economics of the inputs that were bought earlier lay into this. And then you add on top of that the fact that, well, guess what? We're probably going to take your farm away too. So not only are we putting you into debt once, we're putting you into debt twice with no opportunity for rhyme or recourse. So I don't know, Ray. Is this the end? Is this the great reset that some people talk about? I don't know.
I think so. I honestly think that this is the plan, and like it or not, I am constantly seeing this theme, and I've become aware of this theme, I think, in the last, I want to say 10 years, of how everybody is always being told that they have to give up something, have to give up meat, have to give up agriculture, have to give up material goods. I mean, and my question is now becoming, okay, who makes the decision? Who gives up what? Who makes that decision? And after that decision is made, who actually needs to give up everything that the elites are telling people that they need to give up? I mean, this is a question that I am not getting satisfactory answers to, and whenever the environmentalists are out in the media painting this picture of, oh, we need to give up everything in order to save the earth, at no time do any of these fuckers tell me to my face who has to give up what. I mean, and how much. Okay, they've never told me straight to my face that truth or that fact. I mean,
I'm much less
on that subject.
I'm much less pessimistic about this than Ray. I don't think that this is. I don't think this is the reset, but I think it does keep people in a state of heightened, on the verge of panic, and I do think that is the desired outcome. Is because maybe, and this is again just totally me spitballing ideas out here. Maybe the thought is that if people are in a heightened state of anxiety and panic, they are more likely to adopt these things quicker with less pushback. Unfortunately, they have the farmers out there that have to feel the immediate effects of this, and they're going to fight for what they do, and they're going to fight hard. And in the part that's going to get weird is that, of course, it's going to be politicized that farmers are fringe, and people who support the farmers are fringe, and then we're going to be stuck pointing fingers in a political way and calling each other ultra MAGA and snowflakes and everything else, and it's just going to get weird, right?
That's the point, though, dude. Like that's the big picture point of this whole thing. Like the whole velocity of change argument, all that kind of stuff. It's just that the period of uncertainty that we're in right now. If everything was status quo, if everything was hunky dory, all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't make news, wouldn't make votes, wouldn't make people feel compelled to speak out and take a stand politically in one way or the other. So what do you do, right? Whether it's manufactured, it's real, or somewhere in between, it's implied, right? It's perceived, and here we are. So anything that they can do to do that, that's what will continue to happen. And by they, I mean everybody.
Scripted is how I often refer to that, and I have no other better word to describe what I would call the state of affairs right now other than scripted. It's a complete and total joke, in my opinion. This week we are brought to you by our patrons. And listen, patrons, for first, I want to thank the patrons, because the patrons are actually the ones who are listening and watching right now as we record. Did you know we record this on video? You can check it out on YouTube. If you don't want to sit and watch the video, I don't blame you. I would listen to it as well. But, of course, we're on Spotify and all that fun stuff. But if you are of the means and would like to be a supporter of the show, and the way we kind of structure this is the patrons, they actually get to pick all the episode titles. In fact, I actually had the patrons choose the title of the cutout clip that we threw up this week. So all that fun stuff. Then we have some other things too. At the higher tiers, you get various access to different merch that we produce, exclusive merch, including exclusive T-shirts. I think Ray is wearing one of our exclusive patron T-shirts right now, as a matter of fact. And,
see this
a beautiful shirt in the death van we're riding in there, and that is a cloud of glyphosates that is behind us. And we chose Ray to drive in that scenario because he was the most sober of the group, and that's why he was piloting us around. And of course, you get access to us in a more one-on-one type of scenario, because you get access to our private Discord server where you can come hang out. We do all kinds of Zoom meetings and can ask us questions directly one-on-one and try to help you out, whether you're a lawn care operator or a homeowner or whatever the case may be. We actually do some pretty significant dives, and there's some incredibly bright people in there that are able to add a significant amount to the conversation there. So if you are of the means to check it out, it's very affordable. Check us out, patreon.com/burn and return. DeMay had to step away real quick. Otherwise, we were going to jump into our most controversial segment, Jono's Turf. So probably what we're going to do right now is we're going to jump into this week's Burns, and then we will circle back to Jono's Turf. How about them? Sheila is upset over cut and kill lawn care, is what it is, and she is taking it out on any man that will give her attention. It's a sad existence, Sheila. I hope you get the help you need. We're here for you, at least in with words. We're here to support you with words. Never anything other than that. Please stay what is it? What is social distancing now? 6 feet. Please keep 6 feet away from us. We don't want your film getting on us. Cut and Kill Lawn Care is suing its insurance company after it informed the Sioux Falls company that it would not cover damages for more than 300 lawns that were chemically burned after an incorrect fertilizer application. According to court documents, Cut and Kill Lawn Care sued United Fire, an insurance company based out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at the end of June for a base number of $75,000. According to the documents, the amount in controversy is in excess of $75,000, exclusive of interest and cost. After a disastrous weed control application back in April and May, Cut and Kill was left to cover the damages done to 302 properties in the Sioux Falls and Harrisburg area. The company's insurance provider, United Fire, stated in mid-June that they would not provide coverage for the damages, a claim that Cut and Kill owner Tate Eining said he would fight. We've analyzed the policy and have concluded there is no coverage for customers of Cut and Kill whose lawns were damaged. Casey Prince, a media representative for United Fire Group, said in a statement at the time. Eining filed a lawsuit on June 24, saying United Fire's actions were in breach of the insurance contracts as well as the duties of good faith and fair dealing, according to court documents. Cut and Kill is subject to potentially millions of dollars of liability claims as customers demand a variety of redress, including but not limited to demands for seeding, overseeding, hydroseeding, resodding, and other alleged damages. The documents note the primary insurance policy for Cut and Kill. Oh man. For Cut and Kill has a coverage limit of $2 million, and the umbrella policy covers up to an additional $3 million for damages caused by bodily injury or property damage. Cut and Kill also argues that United Fire didn't ask for more information for their investigation into the claims and therefore failed to properly investigate before denying coverage. The chemical burn was caused by a Cut and Kill employee mixing the wrong chemicals for routine weed control application between April 9th and May 3rd. The chemicals weren't activated until early May after temperatures warmed up, which is when the mistake became apparent, and dead lawns brought it up throughout Sioux Falls. The Harrisburg-based company took steps to remedy the issue, including ceding properties for 250 of the 302 affected customers, but a delay in answers from the insurance provider led to a loss of customers. Ironing said that the court document he had gotten screamed at 15 times a day for the last 2 weeks because he wasn't able to provide updates on the insurance. He also said he was losing many accounts and that a lack of answers could lead to an unrecoverable fallout. Cut and Kill eventually stopped all mowing and fertilizer services because of the way that just unfolded. So, interesting. They filed a lawsuit against it. We'll see how the hell this shakes out. To be honest, if I had to guess, this is where it's going to die in the news, because however this pans out, I think Cut and Kill has already written this off as, all right, we're going to have to CYA here, and then if we end up winning something in the lawsuit, then it works to to our benefit. But you know, they've already nixed their Furt and Squirt division, and they're just riding the lightning at this point.
When are we gonna do a rebrand and reincorporate the business as Kill and Cut, right? With the 3/8 hose as the noose, and you got the sprayer truck on the end of it. I got branding ideas. I'm just asking. I mean, nobody will notice.
Yeah, maybe nobody will notice because here's
you ever hear of that Kill and Cut place? I got 5 stars on Google.
Because here's the thing about a general liability policy that I need to reiterate. In cases of negligence, there's fine print on every general liability business policy. The insurance company does not have to cover damages as a result of negligence. I mean, that is printed on my policy, and I keep that in mind every time I'm about to do something. Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, that's just how I take it, because I am gathering that the insurance company decided that what occurred could only have happened as a result of gross negligence. I mean, how else? I mean, because, you know, I'm familiar with instances of negligence on the part of an employee having severe consequences for a company. I mean, let's just leave it at that.
I mean, again, you know, who knows if this is for the best that they're no longer on there. Mistakes happen, you know, especially in commercial lawn care. I've seen it happen in places I've worked, and I've known it to happen to other people too. Go ahead,
real quick. Let's just think about this logistically and logically for a second. 302 accounts, right? Let's just say that this was one guy making that mistake. Now, I don't know enough to understand. A lot of these looks like they were in the pictures. They're all pretty close, tight routes, everything like that. How many days of work would it take to get through 302 accounts?
I would guess, I would say you're going to average 22 a day. Here is the caveat to that is that I don't know what their hours per day that they can work due to freezing temperatures would be. Just because, you know, it's April.
Let's just say an average day. Just say an average day.
We'll say 22 lawns a day, you know, 13 days. So you're talking about 2.5 work weeks kind of thing. Almost 3 work weeks.
That's a long time.
Sure.
This is here's a one-day thing. And I'm not dogging on them. I'm just saying, like, this was worse than, like, an accident, mistake, something bad happened. Like, this was a total systemic fucking failure.
Oh, it was a batch mix. It was a batch mix failure, and then the batch mix was implemented and applied.
Dispensed over 300 something lawns, because, like I was mentioning last week, I got to look at what happens when somebody has a sprayer, they forgot or are unaware of what's in that sprayer, they proceed to apply it, and then what's left is a big freaking dead area in the lawn that's not supposed to be there. And I finally figured it out in that I had to tell somebody, I think this area of turf got a total kill. No other way to explain it. But then that's the kind of thing that can happen as a result of negligence. I mean, because here's the thing, Matt and Ryan, tell me now, do most glyphosate bottles, for example, look almost like or exactly like a bottle of, say, triclopyr or three-way?
All right,
they do.
Listen,
they do.
This is it. I just came up with our $1 million idea right there, and it's another Ray just talking and spewing knowledge, and it just made me think of an idea. We need to get into the manufacturing space, and we need to get to a container manufacturer. And what I need to know from you guys is, for all non-selective herbicides, that's all we'll sell, and we will sell them in some originally shaped containers. Like it could be I don't know, like the Eiffel Tower shaped container, or a phallic container, and that way you will always know. Oh, hey, I need to pour 4 ounces per gallon of this Roundup out of this penis shaped container into the tank, and I won't forget. I'm just saying, I think it's a good idea because you'll never miss, right?
Okay, because by the way, you know why I'm thinking about this.
Don't grab it like that.
Because you know what I'm thinking about this is because back when I was much younger, I still remember what the bottle of Ortho Paraquat CL looked like. And the reason why I remember it is because the bottle cap for that was this big red cap with a skull and crossbone across that cap, and you had to squeeze that cap from 2 sides in order to be able to twist that cap off that bottle. But then right as you were grabbing it, there was like a big skull and crossbones looking at you. So you knew exactly what the hell you were about to dispense.
I still think they filled an unlabeled container. Like that is, I think they were bulk filling out of a drum or a tote. They filled an unlabeled container and then was mixing, say they filled 4 2.5s or whatever, and went out and was using that.
The only thing I was going to say, just for consciousness, is if I have a penis-shaped container in my hand, I'm still probably going to spill some on the floor, and I'm always going to hear my mom and my wife in back, "Don't get any on the floor." And it's just good practice. It's good measure. So I think I'll be more aware at that point. So listen, Penis Pesticides LLC coming to a store near you in 2023. I can't wait. Check the URL.
Moreau Planning Board to vote Monday on Saratoga Biochar Solutions proposal.
Oh, yes. This is
phallic devices with glyphosate.
Or biochar.
We have talked about this before, and this is up in New York, somewhere. What is it, Moreau County, I guess. And so there is a biochar company that wants to come in and set up a biochar plant where they pyrolyze the sewage sludge, aka biosolids, that are coming from a wastewater treatment facility, and the members of the surrounding communities express concern that their pyrolysis temperatures are not going to be high enough to deal with PFAS in the wastewater sewage sludge. And they are saying, yes, we do get there. And they're saying, no, you don't get there. And the community is saying, well, we're looking at the EPA report on how to degrade PFAS, and it doesn't look like you're getting there. And they're like, no, trust us, we're getting there, kind of sort of thing. Well, ultimately, what's being hinged upon here is whether or not they could proceed is this vote here with the planning board, right? And so for all of those reasons, that's this whole thing may not have the opportunity to get off. get off the ground even to begin with. Now, here's the thing: is boy, when it comes to biochar production and PFAS, typically what you're going to see from biochar production is anywhere ranging from 250 C all the way up to 1,000, maybe 1,100 C. And if I recall correctly, you needed in a period of time, a duration at somewhere around 1,400 C to break apart the fluoride bonds and the PFAS. And then the other thing you have to take into account is that as you break those fluoride bonds is what the hell are you doing with the fluoride? Because in all likelihood, if you're dealing with the volatiles of organic matter plus fluoride, you're going to get the formation of some hydrogen fluoride. And now you're dealing with a highly toxic gas to begin with. So the whole thing is shaky. But you know what it does have in its favor? It has in its favor that it is, and I'm going to use my favorite startup word of the day, is that it is upcycling, reclaiming, and co-products. How about that? That is the most friendly way that I can put that. Upcycling, co-products, and so I don't know. Again, I'm so jaded in the biochar space due to Alton, the projects I've been a part of, the projects that have gone on simultaneous to things that I was doing. I have such a jaded view on all this that I look at this and I all I can hear in my ears is just someone screaming at as loud as they possibly can, bullshit, into both ears simultaneously.
Matt, am I one of the guys screaming bullshit?
You are. Definitely, okay. Ray is there in my ear screaming.
Yeah, because you see, you just raised several questions. One, are they able to get to the temperature needed to break the carbon fluorine bonds? And number two, once they break those bonds, what is their plan to deal with both the hydrogen fluoride and the fluorine gas that is going to be created? Because last time I checked, there are two substances that I know I don't care to have to deal with. Number one is hydrogen fluoride, and the number two is elemental fluorine gas, because those two substances they go on record as some of the most toxic and reactive substances you can possibly deal with. Because to give you an idea, Matt, there are very few materials that resist fluorine gas or hydrogen fluoride. All right? Stainless steel? Nope. PVC? Nope. Steel? Nope. I mean, you will have a devil of a time containing and safely dealing with those two substances. And I still don't see the plan in place as to how this company intends to deal with that should they successfully generate fluorine and hydrogen fluoride when they break the bonds of the PFAS and break it down to carbon and fluorine.
DeMay, I'm going to commit career suicide real quick. And if this is a go, that means that both Lebanon Seaboard and Anderson's are going to have their fill of really, really cheap biochar. Did I say that quiet enough that no one could hear me? What's that doing? Should I whisper?
What? Oh no, you can talk it for here at Saratoga Biochar Solutions, we're trying to find ways to upcycle, provide new ways to pollute your environment with biochar.
Oh God! that was much more tactile than I did, and direct, as a matter of fact.
No, I mean, here's the question: is nobody really knows, and even they don't know, and that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be slanderous. It's just that, like what you said, there's a sleazy side to this part of the business, And it just, again, looking at, I got to look this up on the map because there's some large river that this is.
Oh dear! Please don't. I mean, please no. I mean,
is it the Hudson River? I think.
For goodness sake, because
it's literally like right next to the Hudson River.
No, because hasn't the Hudson River been through enough? Because
in New York City. In New York City.
No, because previously the Hudson River was pumped full of PCBs by GE previously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so now
he's doing really well.
Are we, now, by the way. Yeah. Are we going to then say we're going to subject this river to possible fluorides and maybe even unreacted PFAS? Wow. I mean, it's because, I'm under the idea that there are certain materials that they're garbage, they're trash, and as such, we should not be upcycling it. We shouldn't be playing with it. We should simply be safely disposing of it in a way that substance never sees light of day again.
I hope so. Go ahead, DeMay.
All I was going to say is this: it said that they conducted a review with the Department of Environmental Quality there in New York, which I'm sure is very stringent. But I also wonder too if the rules, regulations, and laws have caught up with everything that could potentially go wrong here. And so maybe by the letter of the law, hey, things are all
this is all good,
fine and dandy,
all wonderful.
But we know that there are some advances in manufacturing and pollution technology that haven't quite gotten picked up yet by rules and regulations. So I'll be interested to see if this is the lesson or the rule.
And I truly do hope, and you can check them out, Saratogabiochar.com. They have a frequently asked questions, fact versus fiction, right on the front of their website right there. And I hope they do have the new technology that will pioneer this and bring green back to wastewater treatment facilities. And that would be honestly one of the best things to happen to the biochar industry, and I am 100% in favor of it. But I'm a very, very, very jaded human being. The last article here on our burns is going to be The Farmer's Daughter, and this is her little opinion piece here. Money-grubbing lawyers target yet another herbicide in TV ads. If you poll any random group of Americans, they're likely to tell you about political television commercials are the absolute worst. And heading into the midterm elections, it's about to heat up. Before long, our favorite crime dramas and reality show indulgences will be interrupted by attack ads paid for by disclaimers, and politicians awkwardly pretended to be normal people. If you're watching, and I'm going to skip down here, if you were watching television in almost any U.S. market in March or April, you probably saw advertisements soliciting would-be plaintiffs who were exposed to crop protection tool Paraquat and later developed Parkinson's disease. Nearly 15,000 commercials ran in April to the tune of $1.9 million. The lawsuits aimed at Paraquat aren't new. They started back in 2017, but the media blitz was the highest ever in March and April of 2022, though the 2021 campaign was nothing to sneeze at. Like Roundup, Paraquat is widely used in the United States. Unlike glyphosate, Paraquat is restricted use pesticide and may only be applied by certified applicators. According to the U.S. EPA, one sip is lethal. Who could forget the ridiculous is glyphosate is safe, then why don't you drink it taunts? Oddly, some people were transferring the herbicide into beverage containers where an unsuspecting victim would drink it. The EPA specifically wrote regulations about this. But for the general public, Paraquat poses no real risk. The EPA's 2019 human health assessment found it found no dietary risk or of concern associated with Paraquat when it's used according to label instructions. Certified applicators who are most likely to come in contact with it are required to take certain measures to reduce their risk of exposure. Most importantly, the EPA concluded the association with Parkinson's disease is unfounded. After a thorough review of the best available science as required under FIFRA, EPA has not found a clear link between Paraquat exposure from labeled uses and adverse health outcomes such as Parkinson's disease and cancer. Too bad commercials left that part out. and then it goes on to say that, mass tort litigation is big business. And the lady who authored this is a lawyer herself, and will say litigation is expensive even when you have a good case. These large-scale cases require more capital, sometimes attracting third-party investors like hedge funds. In other words, there are literally financiers with no connection to the case who profit when plaintiffs recover big judgments. Now we have a recipe for success. Invent questionable scientific evidence, find a sympathetic plaintiff, sue the manufacturer, and payday. This isn't about justice or paying for someone's cancer treatments. This is about big money. And for farmers, that's a scary prospect. So, again, I don't want to pretend like paraquat is a safe herbicide. It is not. 100%. Not at all. And 99.8% of the population has no business even talking about paraquat. I would say that we do as license holders for our respective states, and getting involved in the industry in the time where rules around and understanding around paraquat was a little bit more lax than it is today, that we are qualified to speak on this and to inform the general public that does listen to this to say, stay the fuck away from paraquat at all costs. Now, again, parlaying this back into what's going on in this particular instance, in reality, what we're seeing is riding the coattails of the glyphosate craze. Glyphosate is the big boogeyman in the room right now, and if you've got one that is scary as shit, you might as well attach on every chemical that you possibly can to keep the fear heightened, to make sure everyone is in a constant state of turmoil. And second, question whether or not that the tragedy they experienced was caused by somehow, some way, some sort of exposure to a chemical they may or may not actually have had exposure to.
Okay, I'm calling BS on that whole paraquat and Parkinson's disease deal, because as I remember, I knew a lot of people that were exposed to tremendous amounts of paraquat in the 1980s and the 1990s. And to my knowledge, none of them had Parkinson's disease at the end of that. And I'm talking about my grandfather's barefoot farmer friends who, they were dispensing that orthoparaquat CL, but they weren't in the spacesuit. But the understanding is that you didn't drink the stuff, and you sure as heck didn't inhale any spray mists from it, and you'd be okay. And to my knowledge, all of those people literally passed away after living over 90 to 100 years old, and they passed from something other than Parkinson's disease, or even cancer caused by the glyphosate.
Well, what we've learned is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not Parkinson's was generated by paraquat or not. What matters is that you find a compelling enough story that you can take to court and get a big enough settlement to pay back all the money it took to find that one person, right? I mean, that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we're in such a litigious environment, and shout out to our chief litigator of the show and a damn good sponsor, Jesse Bousquet.
Kept me out of jail last week.
Yeah. Listen, the only two things that you need when you go out every day is $300 in your socks for bail and Jesse Bousquet's business card. That's it. Everything else will take care of itself.
I know. Trust me, I was nervous when the cops showed up. I made one phone call, no problems. It was all taken care of. And
no problems.
You don't get that kind of respect anymore.
This is just, again, endemic of the shitbags, assholes, and scumbags, Matt, to give you a little callback from earlier in the show, that have nothing better to do than to create controversy, get people riled up, and attempt to profit off of it. And it's just like, seriously, if you think about it, these lawsuits on these fringe issues and shit like this, it's no different than VC, right? It's no different than venture capitalism, where you win some, you lose some, and we'll take those bets.
We skipped it earlier, but it is time to get back to it. Gentlemen, how about this week's Joe Knows Turf? Jow.
Nose Turf. Hi, I'm
Jow.
I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today. Because
Jow knows turf. Yes, he does. And DeMay, you have a doozy for us today, I reckon. I don't know if it's a doozy or not. I haven't. I may or may not have seen this. I'm not exactly sure. But give us a rundown.
Well, if you would have seen it, and we'll tip the hand a little bit, you would have seen it if you were a member of the channel, and you got to visit our after show on Thursday nights after Thursday.
Oh,
Thursday.
it's that guy.
Yeah, and listen, this is in response to if you're in anywhere really in the interior part of the country right now, the weather has been kind of sucky. And this week coming up, it's about to get real spicy, Matt. It's about to get to that, level of wings you have to sign a fucking waiver for at the restaurant before you go ahead and eat them, right? Kind of got to wash your hands in a parts cleaner at a mechanic shop before you go to the bathroom with them. That level. Yeah. So, in this case here, with the weather being what it's going to be, we've got to get a lot of products down, right, to take care of things and make sure we're covered and everything like that.
What?
And
A lot of what?
well, a lot of products.
What kind of products?
Materials. Well, we're going to find out because this gentleman here wants to show us all the stuff that he wants to spray.
Oh, boy.
Gosh.
Get super aggressive on it. Aggressive to the point where I would suggest you don't do what I'm about to do today. We're going to put...
Pause. Now, I wanted to start it there because he says, I'm going to get super aggressive with it. And it's something I wouldn't recommend that you do. And so this to me, gentlemen, and I'm curious on this issue before we dive into the content of the video. In my mind, it's when we cross over that threshold from, hey, this is my vlog and I'm just showing you what I do and this, that, and the other thing. And hey, people do all sorts of weird shit all the time. Sometimes they videotape it, and even further, sometimes they put it on YouTube and social media. Now, when you cross over the line where you are recommending products, selling products, using affiliate links for products, things like that, I think you have to tread a little bit more lightly. I think you really do, because people might take that as an endorsement of, hey, do this, even though I said not to do it. And we certainly saw that in last week's Joe Knows Turf segment, which you can check out as a little gobbler on the channel from there. So let's see what old boy does here with all these products.
Let's see. We're going to put 10 products down in the backyard today. We got a storm coming in, so it's going to help us water it all in.
Really?
Don't do what I'm about to do. But let's see what happens.
Pause. Don't do what I'm about to do, but let's see what happens. Now, listen, if you are a longtime fan of the program, and about some of the competitions and things that we've had over the past year or so since doing this, you'll know that this guy has firmly supplanted himself as the leader in the clubhouse for the 2022 Jimmy Lewis Award. Please go ahead and don't do this, even though I'm about to do it, and put it on camera and not apologize for it. J Pink, please continue.
So let's go through what we're going to put down today. We're going to do a lot of stress mitigation products and not a lot of NPK. We're going to put down some, decent amount, but not a lot. So we're going to hit it with CK. This is going to help stress because it is hot. It's been 90. We're going to get some rain for a few days, so this is going to help. We're going to use some BioMP to feed the soil, not the grass, to get the microbes going. That's a 5-3-2, so that's a little bit of nitrogen in that. We're going to do aerate. Okay. We're going to do multi-purpose plus. We're going to do hydrotain, of course. You have to do hydrotain. We're going to hit it with some RGS, and we're going to hit it with some microgreens, some more biostimulants. And then we're going to hit it with some soil mastery for some more soil stuff. So mostly everything that we're putting down is to battle the stress that we have and help mitigate future stress from the rest of the summer. I haven't done any of that so far this year. So as you can see, it's getting...
Now, gentlemen, in your experience, your vast experience, both on cool and warm season turf, how many products have you successfully applied to turf that is under stress to mitigate stress after the fact?
None.
It doesn't work.
None. I mean,
and because you're both well-read individuals, can you please tell me that when we investigate the positive benefits and uses of the products that he's describing, so liquid kelp or seaweed extract and the CK, or humic acid, wetting agents, things like that, do you ever see any of the research that's published as a one-time use after the onset of stress?
Prior to and throughout the period of stress.
Ray,
prior
any
to
comments?
And throughout.
There you go. Ray, any differing comments there?
No, only prior to, and in other words, anything that you're going to do with a product like this is called pre-stress conditioning, in that you feed the grass so that it is better able to withstand what is coming up. However, at some point in time, applying all this crap to the grass when the grass is under stress just elevates salt levels and induces additional stress. You're not making it better by applying all this stuff to grass. If anything, I always say to people, you get more benefit out of the water that you use to apply the product than you do the actual products themselves.
All right. So let's see. He's got a couple of granular products here. Let's try to understand what's going on here.
Pretty rough out here. I haven't done anything in this backyard. It gets cooked. It gets the dog. It gets the kids. So it has a lot of stresses on it. So let's see what all these products do in combination. So the first thing on the list today is going to be...
Matt or Ray, could you please, for the folks at home, help us understand how you would design an experiment in your backyard to determine if 10 products all at once can work, and or which ones are giving you a positive and or negative response?
I'd have to do knockout.
There's not enough square footage in this backyard to accomplish that.
I'd have to do knockout
variables. What is
I'd
that?
have to do knockout trials.
10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 are the potential variables you have to take into account here to isolate which one of the 10 is doing what.
We're going to have to get one of those crypto mining rigs from across town here for him to compute, so that SPSS can spit out the stats on this bastard. All right. Not this bastard as a person. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the experiment, of course. Now then.
Yeah.
Let's see what we're going to apply here.
Thiopure, and what this is it is a pre-emergent that has post-emergent killing capabilities in it.
No, it does not.
Pause.
Hang on.
Now this was let me give you a little background here for a second, Matthew. Nothing's been done yet on this lawn, according to what he says in the video, and we're about to apply dithiopure. And I believe in the beginning part of the video you missed it. This is actually on July 3rd of this year.
Well, the one thing I want to say about dithiopure in general is that if you are looking to achieve post-emergent control from it, number one, it's very dependent upon the size of the weed. July 3rd, depending upon where you are in the country, you're probably beyond that size of the weed that you're looking for, the 1 to 2 tiller stage of crabgrass. Number two, granular dithiopure does not offer that 1 to 2 tiller level of control that you're looking for. What you have to do is apply it as a liquid with a surfactant according to the label. So this already from the get-go, unfortunately, is not going to give him what he's looking for. I understand his thought process on it, and I appreciate him for putting forth a thought into this, and it's just, however, there were some pretty significant steps that were jumped across to determine that this product is a good idea for what he's looking to accomplish.
I wanted to go purely pre-emergent, but I do have some weeds in the backyard, so I wanted to do pre and post. So first up is this. We're going to apply this at 4 pounds per thousand, and I'm just over 5,000 square feet, so I'm going to go 20.5 pounds of this.
I do like this song.
Oh, I don't like to see that either. I mean, why is he fingering the dithiopure granules with his bare hands?
Dante, pulling up, feeling like Harry Belafonte. Look at my racks, feel like Serena went from the back. Swing, pull like Jim, waves on swim, and a rock Timbs with a tech. Butterfly doors on the Tesla.
So we are quickly running out of time before the storm gets here. So I'm going to skip the humic. We're going to go straight to the liquids. And if I have time to come back for the humic, I will. But I want to get the rest of this stuff down. First thing I got to do is switch out these tips, because the tip that I had on it was more of a foliar application. But we're not doing any more foliar applications. Everything we're doing is into the soil today. So we're going to change over to our air induction T-jet tips. The first thing we're going to spray, Aerate, RTS, and CK. And these are going to be our 3 biggest stress relief and stress prevention liquids.
Is CK,
and with this rain coming,
a soil?
No.
Perfect
a soil?
No.
I mean,
we're going to use the maximum rate of 6 ounces a 1,000. Now, CK is super.
All right, so go ahead and skip over real quick, J-Pink, if you would, to let's see here, about 4:18. We'll finish this up here real quick.
Come on.
I like the sprayer.
Give it hell. Nice and steady. Now the rain comes. Now here we go. We're mixing up.
All right, this storm is coming, and it's not happy. So we got to move this along. 6 ounces of product into 1 to 2 gallons for every square feet. 35 ounces.
I'm glad he's reading.
All right, now pause real quick. He is. Now listen. The moral of this story here, again, folks, is that you will not spray your way out of anything in this business, particularly in the middle of summer. Maybe a little bit of weed control, maybe some insect control. Disease control is only going to stop what's already started. But if we're trying to go after biostimulants and things like that, Ray, Matt, you got to get into it a little bit before this. You're buying high, and you're going to be selling low on these type of applications.
Exactly.
But you know what? That rain he has tailing this application right here is gonna have such a profound effect on recovery that guess what's going to get the credit? It's sure as shit not going to be the rain. It's going to be it's going to be the biostimulant application, the 10 product cocktail that he put together, followed by a nice deluge. Then all of a sudden things started perking up and turning green. Well, of course, what was it? It was the biostimulants. So thanks, Ryan, for your feedback, but obviously you're wrong because it rained and look what happened to my yard after I put down the 10 product cocktail.
Listen, it wasn't that ecstasy. It wasn't that ecstasy that fucked me all up. It was those 18 shots I had after. Clearly,
exactly.
All right. So listen, that's our Joe Knows Turk segment for tonight. If you have a video that you want to send in and just have us take a look at, listen, we're not trying to get personal. We're not trying to get mean. If you take it the wrong way, well, hey, we're just on a bunch of unpalatable pricks, and that's the way it is. We're here to try and take these opportunities to help everybody learn, and if you're so gracious as to put content out there, we're willing to help you too. We'll be your coach, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt
Coach
about
Martin.
it.
Coach Martin,
we will
Coach Ray.
We'll have anyone on the show, and there's no doubt about it. If you would like to be considered for that, email us mail at thegrassfactor.tv. Mail at thegrassfactor.tv. We'll feature your video. We'll feature you, and but. Yeah, it'll be a great time. We have a good time. You can check out our Thirsty Thursday episodes where we do this. And, of course, you can go back to our other Burn and Return episodes where we analyze other Joe Knows Turf segments. Gentlemen, let's check out this week's returns. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
I'm back.
I put this as a return, but let me tell you, this is a burn because I identify with this Florida man.
Oh, man.
A Florida man's battle with officials over his unkempt grass was lost on another front after a federal judge ruled in favor of a city that fined him nearly $30,000 for failing to mow the lawn. James Ficken of Dunedin has fought off thousands of dollars of fines after city officials started issuing daily penalties in May 2018 as a result of his high grass. Him and his attorneys in the Institute for Justice had previously argued in court that the fines were excessive, but the city of Dunedin countered Ficken's overgrown grass could draw snakes, rats, or other vermin. So anyway, they're going to enforce this. And here's the thing. Listen, this guy has just been reading the news about No Mo May and was playing his part back in 2018 by pioneering the whole No Mo May thing, and it stretched into a couple years.
There's going to be a historical marker placed there. Here's where. What's the guy's name again? What's his name? We got a name on this guy?
Ficken.
Jack Ficken. James Ficken. Here lies the spot where James Ficken, the laziest motherfucker in lawn care, pioneered the premise of No Mo May. And while he tried to stretch it out for damn near half a decade, he thought, well, at least if we can get 1 month in, that'll be good enough. So, hey, we should do a GoFundMe, and we should get a brass plaque installed right by this guy's house. You just won't be able to see it because the grass is 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, they foreclosed on the guy's house. To me, that is excessive. That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
It is. The whole thing is nuts, and I think this is government overreach in and of itself, and what people should be protected from, which is insane. But I'm sure James is a little Fruit Loopy. I mean, he is Florida man after all, and I don't know. It's a bad deal. Sorry, James. I'm the kind of guy that hates to mow grass too, so I identify with you. That's for sure. And then our second one we're going to look at here is OSU. I'm sorry, DeMay, not Ohio State University. Although I'm sure Ohio State University would have done a hell of a lot better than at least the actual phenomenal work out of Oregon State University. Go Beavers. College of Engineering has harnessed the power of artificial intelligence to help protect bees from pesticides. Corey Simon, assistant professor of chemical engineering, and Zhao Li Fern, associate professor of computer science, led the project, which involved training a machine learning model to predict whether any proposed new herbicide, fungicide, or insecticide would be toxic to honeybees based on the compound's molecular structure. The findings featured on the Journal of Chemical Physics in a special issue, Chemical Design by Artificial Intelligence, are important because many fruit, nut, vegetable, and seed crops rely on bee pollination. Without bees to transfer the pollen needed for reproduction, almost 100 commercial crops in the United States would vanish. Bees' global economic impact is annually estimated to exceed $100 billion. Anyway, so the model represents pesticide molecules by the set of random walks on their molecular graphs. A random walk is a mathematical concept that describes any meandering path, such as on the complicated chemical structure of a pesticide, where each step along the path is decided by chance as if by coin toss. Imagine, Yang explains, that you're out for an aimless stroll along a pesticide's chemical structure, making your way from atom to atom via the bonds that hold the compound together. You travel in random directions, but keep track of your route. The sequence of atoms and bonds that you visit, then you go out onto a different molecule, comparing the series of twists and turns to what you've done before. The algorithm declares two molecules similar if they share many walks of the same sequence of atoms and bonds. Our model serves as a surrogate for a bee toxicity experiment, can be used to quickly screen proposed pesticide molecules for their toxicity. I thought that was pretty fascinating, interesting, and a perfect example of science and technology coming together to offer a model for pesticide developers to hopefully help speed up chemical technology development.
Modeling. That is, how shall I say it? Modeling to date, from what I've seen of it, is a very imperfect thing, and there's been instances where computer modeling has gotten things wrong and with grievous results. And on the other hand, I've also seen modeling be easily subject to bias, to where what happens when this so-called model is basically tuned or operated, etc., such that you ain't going to get anything approved from here on out because the model says that it's all toxic to bees.
Well, the beautiful thing is that it's it's not necessarily the gateway between pesticide technology development and not, because of course you still have to conduct trials to co-sign or not co-sign the bullshit that comes out of the inventor's mouth. But I think is a broad brush stroke could be able to input many different available molecules into a computer and spit out which ones have high probability of toxicity and low probability of toxicity. It may at least give a starting point on working on new pesticide technologies. I'm trying to play the optimist here. What about you, DeMay?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's you can't just treat it as finished technology, right? It's a starting point, and the more with AI, right, the more data that you feed into it, and the more results and outcomes it can get, the better it learns in theory. So I just want to see, how much data is getting fed in there of what has been actually peer reviewed and studied in different spaces, and more so what we will do with emerging technologies, right? All over the gamut, right? From, natural products, parasitic products, all the way up to synthetic products, and see what this does. And does that still elicit the same type of results we're seeing in the field? I don't know. I'm like I said, I think it's a good starting point. That's kind of where I'm at on the whole thing. But hey, I don't care who it is. It's always good to know she does a good thing.
And we'll see how it plays out, because I guarantee you that AI entering the pesticide space is just at the forefront of it. Now, when AI does become a decision-making factor in the pesticide space, I'd say that's where the
things get weird.
Boomer in me, gets weird, even though I am a millennial through and through. Gentlemen, we have a good one here on this week's mailbag.
Oh boy.
You've got mail.
All right.
Yes, we do. And it's from Fremunda Cheese. And he says, part 1. This may be a multi-part series that's going to be coming into us depending upon how we answer this. But it says, inquiring info regarding how to grow grass over top a septic leach field. Obvious drought conditions cause shallow buried leach lines to stress the above turf. To my knowledge, this is how a septic system is properly installed, but is poor for growing turf. Thoughts? Consider dabbling in wetting agents, but can't see justify spending $100 for a glorified bottle of NIS unless I'm misunderstanding what else is out there. This is in regards to seeing the 100-foot dead, thinned, dormant stripes from June to September above the leach field. Thanks, y'all. Tyler, my local idiot applicators recommend chlorothalonil on every yard guy in central Indiana, which is a shame about chlorothalonil because it is effective. But it does not have a turf label, so therefore we keep it off. My opinion on this is it's always going to be a problem. There's applying a wetting agent and trying to leach. All right, first let's talk about what happens from septic leach fields. Is that you're going to get a lot of various gases that are going to be seeping through it. Also, a fair amount of sodium accumulation is going to occur. But you're also going to get a lot of nitrogen accumulation that occurs, a lot of pee, a lot of doo-doo. And so there's not really much you can do. Attempting to leach the leachate, you're leaching the leachate beyond the root system of the grass above is probably not going to happen. I just don't see you being able to do that. And even using some of the most effective drying down soil penetrants like TerraFirm AD by Mitchell, which literally you can dry down the grass so much that you cause hydrophobicity because it's that effective as a penetrant. I don't think you're going to escape this type of scenario because it's in a constant state of free flow. So in my opinion is I would be planting a higher nitrogen tolerant grass type, and I would have a Bermuda lawn. What y'all's take?
Jeez. In central Indiana.
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ray.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ray.
Southern Indiana.
Yes.
Freaking hot.
Central Indiana.
That's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's the same damn difference.
You know what?
You're in Central Ohio and you're growing Bermuda grass.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Ryan.
You're growing Bermuda grass well.
Yeah, you're doing
I
it
am.
damned
But he
well,
ain't
Ryan.
you, is he?
Yeah. However,
He's to hire
this
you.
would be a case for
FieldSourceOutdoor.com.
cold
Field source
tolerant,
fields.
winter hardy
Field source.
Bermudas. And the reason why is because it's obvious that his cool season grass is stressing out and cannot handle in the summer, right, Matt?
Yeah.
It can't deal. It can't deal. Likewise, here's my thought. You know what? Grow Bermuda and then harvest that massive growth of Bermuda for forage or hay. Make friends with some cows and horses. And I'm not joking
good
about
idea.
that.
Yep, that's a good
Wow.
idea.
Yeah, make some friends with some animals because I still remember my grandfather's black and white bull, and he just loved having handfuls of Bermuda grass. You know,
All right.
tall Bermuda grass. He just loved it.
All right.
So
I'm gonna throw this at you guys. I'll co-sign a little bit of this bullshit, not all of it. But what about zoysia grass there?
Ooh.
Less
I'm
water, less
in
inputs,
favor
and
of
it's really
Shit,
hard to
yeah.
kill. Really hard to kill. at the same
Shit,
time.
yeah.
you know what? And that
I
would
like
be the thing where have that. However,
You couldn't
make
feed
sure
to
that it's
animals, though,
contained.
can you?
No,
Hmm?
animals hate zoysia. Animals hate zoysia.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
I like the idea of
They
feeding
don't-
it to the animals. I
Yeah, and-
I want a cow. Let's be honest here. When Ray said that, like it hit a bell with me. I want a cow. My neighbors
You know
If
what?
you
across
don't like
the
mowing
street
your lawn,
is-
I don't see you raising livestock. Like, I just don't.
There's
You know
there's a personal relationship with the things that are actually primarily doing the mowing, and that is the cow. And trust me, I would much rather be friends with cows than human beings. And across the street from me, I've got, I don't know, there's probably 300 head of cattle across the street. And, I drive by in the morning. You know what I do? I roll to a complete stop. I roll down the window and I fucking moo at them like a normal human being, right? And I pretend
You know what,
like
Matt?
when they make noises back to me that it's a sign of friendship and mutual respect that we have for one another. So I like the idea of Bermuda grass going here and allowing the cows to forage the Bermuda grass. I don't know. That's my thought.
And here's another one for you. If you're talking about grazing animals, one of the best lawn
The
mowing
ginger video
animals
got
I
me,
can think
guys.
of.
It got me. It got me
is-
real bad. It's affecting me a week.
How's this? Sheep or goats? Do you
I'm
know
on board
how
with it.
good?
I'm on board
No,
with it.
do you know how good sheep and goats are at
And tasty.
eating
I
grass?
love goat curry.
I'm a rack of lamb guy.
I mean,
I am definitely a rack of lamb person. So there. I
That's
mean,
Good.
but then I'm just saying that sheep and goats are capable of eating grass and cutting it pretty short because I know the difference between a cow grazing, a horse grazing, and a goat or a sheep grazing because the sheep and the goats get it down so low that I think it was done with a mower.
Well, they do a good job. The
Yeah.
original mowers for golf courses, way back in the day. They're great.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Matt, we found out Matt is going to buy a goat or a cow and sell his lawnmower to get it. That's where we're at.
all right. Thank you. I'm telling you, man. Last week got me pretty good. I will not be checking the comments on the video, so feel free to run your mouth, talk shit or whatever in the ginger video. I honestly do not care. I stand by everything I said 100%. Thank you everybody for tuning in this week. We will be at you on Thursday with Ear, Nose, and Turf. Our resident MD in the house is going to be joining us, and that's actually going to be really exciting because we have like a real MD. I mean, how
Talking to us.
I almost said stupid. It's so dumb. We have a
It
real
is.
MD.
Seriously, the guy went to school for like 8 years, and he's gonna talk to us sad sacks of shit about fucking grass. I mean, it makes me feel that big. Makes me feel that big.
Ray, at least we can get all our questions about androgens answered by the ear, nose, and throat specialist, because I'm sure that's something he cares a whole hell of a lot about. We are headed over to go hang out with the patrons so they can choose this week's episode. We love y'all. We'll see you on the next one.